So we should look at yoga and science in ways of integrative healthcare. Whereas the medical science can provide acute care, but if we want long-term health benefits, we should look at chronic care protocols as well. And chronic care protocols is when we need to get evidence-based behavioral modification modalities such as the yoga that I talk about.
I'm so excited how much the Western science and the Eastern yoga have in common. We should focus much more what we have in common rather than what divides us. Hello, this is Manfred Stapff again, the host of your podcast, The Real World Evidence Perspective, which brings you truth, data, and candid context. You know from the podcast that it is important to evaluate information. It started in medicine when the FDA has to approve a drug or when a physician has to use a treatment. They have to see evidence that it is safe, that it works for the patient. But it applies also to us in the real world, in the daily life. Information which we get from social media, from cable TV, from newspapers, we should evaluate them. We should look at the sources. We should spend a little bit of time about the truth, whether it is misinformation, disinformation, or fake news. In this context, I have today a very special guest, Ishan Shivanand. And his story is so different from my story that it's perhaps the best he introduces himself, where he comes from, what he is doing, and how he thinks how we can evaluate information, the truth, and perhaps also looking at it from a spiritual way.
Thank you so very much for having me. My story is I was born in a monastery where I did not just learn yoga and meditation, I lived it. And one of the key things that is taught in yoga is that avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abnivesh, kalesh. That means the root cause of all negativity and pain and suffering is a lack of knowledge, a lack of truth. And it's not just avidya, avidya the word. Vidya means knowledge, avidya means it could be wrong knowledge, it could be a lack of knowledge, and as you said, misinformation, disinformation, false information. So yoga is the whole process of overcoming all those mental blockages, all those traumas, all those negative emotions that are keeping me alienated and disconnected from the truth that is around me. And enlightenment is when the veil of ignorance is gone and I can see the truth. So all my life I studied that meditation, and when I came out of the monastery, I saw that the world was going through a mental health crisis. And I felt that meditation and these yoga-based modalities could help in that crisis. But again, feelings are not facts. I felt it could help, but then I needed data. So in 2019, I started my own journey as a mental health researcher, where we partnered with multidisciplinary physicians in United States, and we partnered with various institutions, and we started to implement these protocols in various sections of society to see what would be the short-term impact, the mid-term and the long-term impact, and also post the practice of these protocols, how a person can benefit. And we were able to procure some excellent data which we have published in peer-reviewed journals. And that is what I want to do. I want to bring meditation and yoga into everyday life, into healthcare through data.
It's a very interesting and a very convincing approach. It is very different from what I have done in my career, and I'm now looking. It is not that different. Actually, we have a lot in common. We have a common goal, a vision of a common goal, which is the truth, which is basically also including yourself into the knowledge gain. In my book, I have a pyramid of a knowledge gain which comes from a first story. Then the story gets confirmed by other people hearing it. Then there is a scientific hypothesis. How could this story be explained scientifically? Then comes the clinical trial or clinical study. And then comes the proof of these scientific results in real-world evidence. So do you see parallels between this approach, the pyramid of knowledge gain to the truth? Do you see parallels to your history?
I absolutely, not with my history, sir, because I come from a theological background. In theology, when you're talking about philosophy or religion, in the yogic systems in the ancient times, definitely there was a story. People accept that story, then they do research on that story, then the hypothesis can be reached. That was the ancient yogic model. Slowly what started to happen was people stopped practicing yoga in totality, stopped practicing the truth, stopped reaching to that truth themselves, and started accepting other people's story. And that is where the pathway of yoga suddenly becomes like religion, the Western religion concept that this is it, just accept it, there is no hypothesis. So that is where I grew up, in that world where people were afraid to challenge the truth that was presented to them, because the South Asian society is such that there's a lot of pressure from parents, from friends, from peers, and everybody is given a story and you have to just go by it. But then in the monastery where I was raised, they always taught me to challenge, to scrutinize, to have your own research and always find your own truth. And that is what I wanted to bring to the field of yoga and meditation as well. And that's where we started to do the research. So the parallel with the truth pyramid now I feel is more as compared to what I saw around me when I was growing up.
So the challenge brings me to a word which you mentioned also in your book. This is the resilience, the self-confidence that you challenge what you hear, you challenge the information, and you try to check, can this be true, can I believe it, rather than blindly following a sentence or an ideology. Is this in conflict with religion, where you are taught that you should believe what a priest tells you or what a monk tells you? Or is this in line with religion when the religion says you are a self-efficient human being, you also have your own thoughts? What do you think? Is challenging a little bit too much questioning the religion?
So
or
religion,
is it a good thing?
Religion doesn't allow challenging. And that is why I do not come from religion. I do not relate with religion, because I come from a philosophy of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma just means a code of conduct, an eternal code of conduct through which you have to live your life. And if you live your life through that code of conduct, you will reach that truth, whatever your deduction would be. So it is you reaching to that point by walking that code of conduct. And religion doesn't allow you to find that path or reach to that truth, whereas Sanatan, a practice of yoga and meditation, allows you to scrutinize. So that is where I think it's very, very important that we make a clear distinction between religion and the yogic modalities. That being said, also there should be a fine line that I scrutinize, yes, but negating should not become my nature. Because if I have already convinced myself, then even if the truth is in front of me, I will negate it. It should be a neutral approach, non-judgmental awareness. And then let the research help me reach the hypothesis rather than having a predestined thought pattern.
Yeah, the predefined pattern or the pre-made up opinion is certainly something which we have to deal with.
Yes.
And what is your opinion about social media or headlines? If we read headlines in a newspaper or just 160 characters in a social media post, is this helpful or is it creating this prejudice, this preset mind?
So I will tell you, I attended a conference with the British Consulate on deepfake technology.
Mm-hmm.
And all the intelligence agencies of various countries was present, and everyone was very worried and afraid that as AI is progressing, deepfake is becoming more intelligent, and it's becoming so powerful that now a normal brain cannot comprehend the difference between truth and reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why deepfake is being utilized to scam people, to hurt people, to harm people. And the greatest fear was state-sponsored misinformation campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier, when we used to think of agents, we would think James Bond,
Yeah.
or we would think Ethan Hunt, a person that has come to another country to do corporate espionage, sabotage, etc. Now, the agent is not a person, it is a software.
Yeah.
So I can make an algorithm through which I can sabotage the mental health of a country that I do not like, or I can harm them in ways that are not even comprehensible by a mental health researcher. Hence, it becomes extremely important that we start spending our resources to make ways in which we can teach children to protect themselves from such social media agents that we don't even know where they are coming from and what their ultimate goal is to teach our kids. And I think yoga-based resilience training modality is something that will be very beneficial in the time to come.
The resilience training is, I think, a very important point. From my point of view, from the scientific point of view, we say don't believe everything in the first second, in the first minute. Look for sources, look where does the information come from, have another source, not only one newspaper, not only one social media, not only one cable TV channel. I think this is extremely important.
But here, sir, a problem that happens is, because I work in Silicon Valley, a person can get married to an algorithm. And if you start to look certain videos, start to research on some videos, start to research on some, for example, if I'm talking about coffee machines, then my algorithm will just show me coffee machines, and then everything will become about coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we see a lot of people who go into the conspiracy rabbit hole. And that's why I think in the scientific perspective, the resource is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think here we can have some parallel to yoga, because in yoga, we would not just learn anything from anyone. It's unheard of, because right now in the West, this is a bit corrupted, because anybody can teach any yoga under the blue sky and change it. Because yoga was a perfect system for thousands of years, and then somebody goes for 1 month and says, now I'm an enlightened yogi, and then just teaches anything. We know that wrong information and wrong path can do more harm than good. That is why you'll see there's so much yoga in the West, but why is the mental health crisis worsening?
Yeah.
So we would not learn from just anyone.
Mm-hmm.
We would go to the enlightened guru.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you want to learn science, you must go to the scientific journal and not an Instagram post.
Yeah.
So the source matters the most.
very important what you mentioned is the data source. When we talk about AI, of course, we talk about where does the AI have the data from, where has it been trained, because it may lead to a confirmation bias,
Yes.
which AI has, and we also as humans, we have it. If we see something what we want to see, we believe it. If we see something which does not fit into our prejudice, we are less inclined to believe it. And then comes also the human nature that we, based on our lives tens of thousands of years ago in the caves, it was more important to be alert if there is a danger outside. So we pay attention more to negative things than we pay attention to positive things. If it's outside of the cave, there is a snake, a tiger, we need to know that immediately. That's bad news. If there is outside some fertile ground where we can grow crops, that's a good news, but it has time. We can do that tomorrow. So this is a very important point what you brought. And you mentioned that yoga is helping us to overcome that. Can you go a little bit deeper into that, how yoga can help us to overcome our instinct, our natural negative instinct?
So I'll give you an example. If you talk about deepfake technology. So in deepfake technology, a scammer can call you from your child's voice and create the illusion that your child is in danger and he needs money urgently. And as you said, our
Yeah, and every day I get calls from a fake number which pretend to be somebody.
precisely, and then our immediate nature from the our animal brain is from our limbic system to respond, to react, to bring somehow ourselves to safety. This immediate reaction is negating the path of yoga. So yoga teaches non-judgmental, non-reactionary awareness. So if we practice yoga, then we would be calm, we would be stable, peaceful, relaxed. So if such a call would come, we'll be grounded. We'll think to ourselves, how can my child be in danger? My child is in school. Or how can my child be in danger? I don't even have a child. Things like that, which we overlook because we are in a state of chaos. So yoga can teach you to remain in a state of awareness that unleashes the human potential, that allows you to be a better thinker.
Excellent, excellent. This is very helpful, and I'm so excited how much the Western science and the Eastern yoga have in common. We should focus much, much more what we have in common rather than what divides us. I mean, this is something which we see also in society, in politics. If you go deeper, if you see where is your common goal, what do you want to achieve, then you will also with your adversary, you will find things which you have in common. And I guess your method and the yoga, if done with a professional, will be very, very helpful. So thank you very much. This was an excellent conversation. Is there any important message, any summary which you want to convey with our viewers?
I would like to recommend that all of you start to develop a self-care routine. If you look at the ancient yogis, they were the thinkers of the past. They were the scientists. They were the ones who, like yogis like Sushruta, are known to be the father of modern plastic surgery. Ayurveda has done so much for wellness. So we should look at yoga and science in ways of integrative healthcare. Whereas the medical science can provide acute care, but if we want long-term health benefits, we should look at chronic care protocols as well. And chronic care protocols is when we need to get evidence-based behavioral modification modalities such as the yoga that I talk about. So I highly recommend your readers, if you have the time, read the book Practice of Immortality. After each chapter, I have given my evidence-based meditation techniques. Practice them, and if you benefit from them, then I invite you to take a deeper dive into the art and science of meditation.
Wonderful, wonderful conclusion. I am convinced. It was only 20 minutes, but it was enough to convince me. So thank you very much for having this conversation. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe my podcast, or to like it, or to forward it. This was Real World Evidence, the podcast which gives you data, facts, and candid context. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.